Well, thank you for joining us. Welcome back to the Royal Club. Tonight, we are going to talk about respect. It's such a vast subject that it's like the more you dig into it, the more you feel like you are missing a lot of things. So you're going to throw a lot of things in there. It will not be in a nice and orderly fashion, but you just take notes or however it helps you to remember them. Some people like to take notes. That's fine. If you don't want to take notes, that's fine too. So, respect. So there's a lot to cover. So I'm just going to go rather fast, putting up my paper. And then, of course, we are going to discuss it. Let me get my paper because I'm looking at it on the same screen as I'm looking at you beautiful people. Mm-hmm. Can you hear my voice all right, or is it too low?
Yes, we can hear you. This is wonderful.
Is it okay? The value? Wonderful. So respect. Well, everybody likes to get respect, of course. And everybody likes to be treated with respect, but respect is something that I have discovered. It didn't take a long time to discover it. Unfortunately, it's kind of a lost art. It's almost like people don't really care anymore whether they are respectful in the way they talk to you, in the way they treat you, in the way they even look at you, in the way they even acknowledge you, or sometimes they don't. Mm-hmm. And so we can just safely say that respect seems to be a lost art. Well, respect is the culture of heaven, so we are going to bring it back. This is one of our missions. Meanwhile, I'm going to turn on my iPad to watch the other screen. Okay, there you go. So respect starts with self-respect, and you can really see that people who don't respect themselves, they are unable to respect others. They don't even understand the concept of respect. So I'm going to just give you a lot of information here, and it may not be in order because there's just so much to cover. And the more I wrote, the more I remember to write. And then I just, it's such a vast subject. And really, we could talk about this for weeks on end. So self-respect is vital. So we start with respect, but respect starts with self-respect. You can unmute yourself. This is not a class, it's an interaction. Families chatting with each other. So self-respect is vital because it impacts every area of your life. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will respect you. And also, if you don't respect yourself, you will not respect others. So you need to understand that self-respect is so important because it impacts every area of your life, whether it's business, personal, even the way you are. If you are alone, it is also possible to not respect yourself. So you don't have to have another witness there to understand that you don't respect yourself. It's the way you think about yourself. It's the way you esteem yourself or you don't esteem yourself. So I'm going to give you a lot of signs that can kind of show you where you might be lacking in self-respect. First of all, what is respect? What is self-respect? Well, self-respect comes from knowing who you are. So really, it's an identity. This begins with your identity. But most people don't know who they are. And when you ask them, for instance, how are you? So, you meet people in a social setting, like in a party or something, and then you begin to find out who they are. The first thing they're going to refer to is what they do or what they have. Nobody really answers the question, who are you?
Yeah.
So like if you ask someone, so who are you? The person most likely will begin to list what he does and what he has rather than who he is. Example, I am so-and-so, I am a lawyer, I'm a father of 3, and I own that big house on the hill. Meanwhile, the person never answered the question, who he is. He listed 3 things that he is proud of, but never answered the question. This is alarming because any and all of those things that he listed can be taken away from him in a second. Right? His family, his job, his house, his properties, even his citizenship. If he's proud to be, I don't know, and you know, a proud German citizen, for instance, that can be evoked as well. So, and still, none of this should affect who he is, because who you are should not depend on what you own, what titles you have, what educations you have or you don't have, what professional background you have or you don't have. None of these impresses God. So we really came back around all the way to God, what God thinks of you. That's what should be your focus, not what people think of you. People judge you by how you look, first and foremost, because that's all they see. They might judge you whether you're big, tall, short, fat, skinny, young, old, and most likely you can never please everybody at the same time. Some people like tall people, some people don't like tall people, some people like short people, some people like fat people, some people like skinny people, some people look down on young people, some people look down on old people. So it's like you are always choose something for someone. So don't even try to impress or work on pleasing others, because that's not what you should be doing anyway. And none of them affects who you really are. So that's just at in the front right here. So, you know, using our examples, you know, this lawyer friend of ours, we're just using him. So he's a father of 3. He owns the big house on the hill, and he's a lawyer, and he seems to be so proud of his achievement. Fine, be proud, it's not a problem. But all of these should not impact who you are. So, for instance, all of the things that he has listed, he can lose in an instant. You remember Job from the Bible. He was the wealthiest person. I studied up on him, not because of this session that we're doing here, but because of some situations. And I studied up on him, and it's amazing all the background information you can glean from studying that particular man. And he was truly the wealthiest man in his time. But all of this was lost in an instant. He lost it all, his family, his wealth, and he became the poorest man and the most despised man at that time in an instant. And on top of it, his friends tried to convince him that he has done something wrong, so God must be punishing him.
Yeah.
That's just on the side to show how some is so flaky. Some, you know, fair weather friends, typical fair weather friends. They were, I'm sure, trying to get into his good graces while he was the most powerful man in the land, while he was the most prominent man in the land. Everybody was trying to be his friend. But then he ended up with 4 friends only. And they were not exactly good friends either, because they were pretty much hammering him. It's like, there's the saying, you don't kick a man who's already down. Well, these people were kicking him, and they were his friends, quote unquote friends. So, you know, there's a saying that you don't need friends if you have, you don't need enemies if you have such friends. But obviously his story was different, and his story is not your story. So don't even be alarmed. I'm just letting you know that you can lose all the things that you have. If that's where you put your identity, this is not a good place to put your identity, not in the things that are can be taken away from you. So, for instance, we had this earthquake in Turkey not long time ago, just recently, and 27,000 people lost their lives, and many lost their jobs, families, and all of their possessions. Okay, so all these things can be taken away from you. Okay, but also, and there's this deeper truth behind this whole thing. When you came to earth with none of these things, you didn't come any of this. You didn't have the big house on the hill. You were not a lawyer. You didn't have your 3 sons. You didn't have all these accolades and achievements and education and profession, and you didn't have all the respect. You came without anything to this earth, and this is exactly how you will leave. You understand that? You need to grasp that, because that's the core point of what we are talking about today. None of these things should be your self-respect and identity should never be rooted in all those things that can be taken away from you. And also, when you go home to God, when you go back to God, because that's where we came from. You will not go to him. You will not go back to God as someone's daughter or son or a lawyer or someone's sister or brother or someone's husband or the pastor of the biggest church. You will not go home to him like this. You will go home to him as his son and daughter, without anybody and anything else. And this is actually comforting, because that means that you don't depend on anything or anybody else. God sent you with everything that you need on this earth to succeed and to run your race. But we have already discussed it, so I'm not even going to touch on that. But the point is, you need to see what's important and what is not. So we're still talking about self-respect, and I want to give you a few cues, because that's the basis of respecting others, is that you learn to respect yourself. I want to give you just a few signs that can show you if you have some issues with self-respect. For instance, it's a long list, so I'm going to try to shorten it for your benefit. So just
I like the long list.
You like the long list? You can add your own long list. It's just a sample that what we need, because really respect and self-respect is such a vast subject. And when you dig into it, you will understand it even more, and God will open up even more doors for you. So just for the sake of time, pay attention to the following signs and see how many you can relate to. Number one, you always seem to attract people who mistreat you or use you.
Yeah.
Number two, you have no time for yourself. Number three, you feel exhausted most of the time due to your commitments to others. In other words, combining number two and number three, you spend more time on helping others and serving others than working on yourself, than doing something for yourself. Now, granted that most people don't have this problem, because most people are selfish, and that's not a good thing either. But it's an existing phenomenon, so we do have to touch on that. But if you find yourself that, see, one of the things about selfish people, they like to use others. So I just want to warn you, don't be sucked up by people who like to mistreat you and use you for their own benefit. So just because they call you, oh, please drop everything and run to me because I'm feeling depressed. I need your help. I need this. I need that. You are trying to help people. Of course you do. And we all do. But when people begin to use you, that's a different story. I have no problem helping others. I mean, this is why we are here. But the moment people don't stand up for themselves and begin to do things for themselves, they're trying to use you for anything and for everything. That's not okay.
Yeah.
So tying that to the next point, you need to set clear boundaries. Okay, and sometimes even your family, your not just your friends, but even your very family, your children can do the same to you. They feel like you are there to serve them, you are there to cook for them, you are there to clean after them, you are there to pick after, you are there to pick up after them. That's not so. That's not the way it should be. So even the little children, we teach in my family to, do things for themselves, and that's how I was trained. We were trained thoroughly. I grew up in a big family, so we were trained by my mother and father, mostly my mother, obviously, to do all kinds of homework, like housework. We know how to cook, more or less. We certainly know how to iron. Most people don't know how to iron these days. They don't know how to iron their clothes, literally. They don't know how to iron. They don't clean after themselves. For us, it's so natural that we clean after ourselves. In fact, I like cleaning after myself. I like cleaning, I like a clean house. Some people don't care about, the mess, just things are just being dropped wherever they take them off, and they are not being picked up for weeks. And I can't imagine being like that. I mean, really.
No.
Really, yeah. But
That's
see,
me.
this is the trend that the world is going towards. So that's not what you want to follow, because you are not a trend follower, you are a trend follower. But first and foremost, you want to make sure that you are okay inside. You are respecting yourself. So number 4, you settle for less. Number 5, you feel inferior or less than others. Number six, you struggle to speak up. Like there's a meeting and then you don't feel like what you can say or what you can add to the conversation or to the topic is even worth listening to. You can really detect people with low self-esteem because of course low self-respect, low self-esteem is the same thing pretty much. So when people don't raise up their voice to speak, they are too quiet or they don't speak at all. Obviously, you know, modesty is a greatly appreciated characteristic, but I'm not talking about modesty now. I'm talking about things that are just not okay. I mean, every time you ask the person's opinion, oh, well, I don't really have an opinion. Yes, of course you do have an opinion. You should have an opinion, and your opinion matters. See, whenever people say, well, I don't really know, I don't like to speak up. Well, there's always a reason. Because they don't think that whatever they have to say is important enough for others to listen to. So that could be a sign also that you have a problem with self-respect. So number 7, you can't seem to say no. People who have the time, who have a problem saying no to, for instance, requests, people asking for all kinds of requests from you, or they asking for your time, they asking for your attention, they're always asking for something. People like asking for something, but at some point you have to put your foot down and you say no, politely, but no, firmly, and you keep to it. Don't take it back, don't walk it back. They're not gonna like it, but you have to say no. And believe it or not, people will start to respect you more. The more no they hear from you, the more they will respect you. It's true though, because they thought that you are just there to serve them. You are always going to be saying yes, no matter what they come up with. You are always going to have time for them, because obviously your whole life should be revolving around them, you know. And that when that turned out to be the truth, and you're actually not afraid to tell them to their faces, you know, and firmly, then they will start respecting you. Number 8, you lack self-confidence. Well, that can be seen in so many different ways. I don't even need to go into that. Number 9, you are there for everyone, but no one is ever there for you. That shows that people don't really respect you very much. Number 10, you undervalue your strength, gifts, and achievements and skills. Number 11, you let others walk all over you.
Please repeat 11. Please repeat 11. Now it's 10. You
value your skills.
Your skills. En 11 heb ik niet gehoord. I didn't hear 11.
You're muted. We cannot hear you.
11 was undervalue your skills.
Yes, that's better.
Okay, this is much better. Okay, so we're live. Okay,
So 11.
I hear an
by
echo.
11.
No, I don't hear an echo now. Okay, so number 11, you let others walk all over you.
Yeah.
Who left?
You
let
allow others walk all over you.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Number 12, you are excessively afraid of what others think of you. You are too afraid of what others think of you. Okay, so that will be enough for now.
Yes.
Yeah, so none of these things are good. And all of these things can be changed. Let me get to my next page. So let's see, let's define what self-respect is. A proper respect for oneself as a human being, a regard for one's own standing or position. Well, our respect, self-respect, is coming from our identity.
Yeah.
Self-respect is loving yourself and treating yourself with care. And of course, it shows in different ways. Even physically, you take care of yourself. You have time for yourself. You rest when you need to rest. Some people just can't rest. And it's good to work hard, but you also want to give yourself rest because your body needs it and because you deserve it. Some people don't feel that they deserve any kind of rest. That's not a good thing. And so it's the result of staying true to your values and not being willing to compromise. So you don't want to compromise your core values. The more you engage in behaviors consistent with your beliefs and values, the more you will feel fulfilled and confident. So the more you stay close to your true values, the more fulfilled and confident you will be. Self-respect is a word that means honoring your worth, preserving your dignity, and taking pride in your abilities. Being self-respecting means that you believe at a core level that you are worthy of being treated fairly and with courtesy. Self-respect comes from knowing who you are, where you come from, and where you are going. Being a Christian, our identity is in Christ, not in others, and not in the way others see us, because that can also change. And of course, that's a fair weather thing too. The moment you lose your status, your wealth, or people think you have lost your status or your wealth, they begin to look at you differently. Most people, not everyone, most people feel not treated the same way. There's this story that I think it's a Hungarian story that like an old, like a folklore story, but I think it captures the situation so well. I keep hearing myself echoing. I don't know why, but I don't care. So an old man and a very wise man who was invited to a party, I think. I always remember the punchline. I never remember the whole story. So I have to always back engineer the whole thing, but I will put my point across, don't worry. So he was invited to a party where all the grand people were. He was a person who worked on the fields, but they invited him, like the owner of the field invited him because he was a rich man and he wanted to show everyone that he respects everyone equally. That was the whole, setting of the story. So the guy showed up, and because he was just working on the field, so he showed up in his working clothes. So he showed up in his working clothes in this big illustrious party, and of course he was treated like an outcast because everybody was dressed very nicely, and he was put in at a separate table, I think, a separate table from the rest of the people. So he was given food, but nobody really talked with him and nobody really paid attention to him. Nobody wanted to associate with him because, everybody wanted to look good. And of course, the better you look, the more people want to talk with you, and the more people talk with you, the better you look. So, and with that, I just explained the core of this selfie generation. But anyway, so that was one night. So the next time when the party came around, the guy put on the beautiful clothes, and the people didn't even recognize him because, they always looked at the clothes, not him. So,
Right.
And they set him at the best place, the most honored seat. They gave him the best food. Everybody wanted to be around him because they didn't recognize him. They only saw the clothes. So he began to take off his beautiful clothes and just hanged it on the chair and put it on the table. And very beautiful, full of gold and all this. They have this old Hungarian clothes that looks absolutely just royal. About 150 years ago, people dressed that way in my country anyway. And so he put there, and all the food that he received, he poured it on that clothes, and all the drink all the beautiful drinks and the best wine. He poured it on the
Yeah.
on the beautiful clothes, and no one understood what he was doing. And he said, "I want to demonstrate you that you didn't give all these things to me. You gave it to the clothes I was wearing. You never saw me. You just honored the clothes. So I'm giving all the respect that you really wanted to give the respect to my clothes. And I want to make a point with this." And the people were so ashamed that, of course, then they apologized. So that's the gist of it. But it's a long story, but I don't know how to tell stories, obviously. You probably figured that out already.
It's a good
But I
story.
think you get the gist of it. That people sometimes just respect what they see and they don't even see you. So that's a sad thing, but we are here to change that. Okay, so let's see. I have so many notes, you have no idea. So I'm so being a Christian, our identity is in Christ, not in others, and not in our jobs or titles or education or various accolades or achievements. When you want to please God and God alone, you stop being a people pleaser. See, this is one of the things about people with low self-esteem and lack of self-respect. They always want to please people. And this is actually dangerous because it can get you into a lot of trouble. It can get you into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So you stop being a people pleaser and you stop following the stupid trends of the world. See, we are in this world, but we are not of this world. You are not a trend follower, but a trend setter. God did not send you here to follow the world, but to change the world. And for that, you need to have a very strong identity, because right now, especially these day and age, especially everything attacks your identity, even to the very point of whether you are male or female. I mean, this is, a few years ago, we would think this is it's like a joke. It's a joke. Today, it became reality because that's what they're pushing, but we are here to change that. Amen?
Yeah.
Amen.
So you cannot change something you follow. So if you want to follow the trend, you will not change the trend. Okay? You either are a follower of the trend or you are the leader of it. You cannot be both. So you have to decide what is what you want to do. Okay. First of all, you want to recognize that your worth is not in anything that you do or what you own, but in Jesus, who gave his life for you. So you are worth the life of Jesus. That's your worth. That's your identity. And your identity is that you're a man or woman of God. We are not going to discuss the other 455 genders at this point, but you are either a male or female. And in terms of how God looks at you, you are a man or woman of God. And that's all I have to say about that. Second, find a purpose you can work towards daily. So when I say we are here to change the world, yes, we are here to change the world, but it's a huge goal. It's a huge goal. You cannot just, okay, today I'm going to wake up or tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to change the world. So you need some smaller goals, some smaller steps you want to take towards it. That's what I'm saying. So you want to set your own purpose towards changing the world, something that you can work on daily. Maybe it's smiling at people. Maybe it's talking to people. Maybe it's being kind to your neighbor. Maybe it's offering your help to people for no monetary compensation. So just out of the kindness of your heart, you want to help people. So we often say that you may not be able to go to the world, but you can always go to the world around you. Right? So you may not be able to go around the world to change the world, but you can always go to the world around you. Everybody has their sphere of influence. Maybe it's your neighborhood, maybe it's your women's fellowship, maybe it's the local book club, maybe it's the gym that you belong to, maybe it's the choir you attend, maybe it's your church, maybe there's some things you need to change that as well. Okay? Quite possible. So find out what you are good at, what your skills are. We are all good at something. Maybe you can cook, maybe you can sing, maybe you can do a lot of things with your friends. Maybe you are a good listener. Very, very important these days. Everybody wants to talk. Nobody wants to listen. All the people, all these influencers, quote unquote influencers, are popping up, and they are all talking. Whether it's a short talk or small talk. Some of them interesting, some of them are not so interesting. But everybody wants to talk. Nobody wants to listen. And less people want to listen. If you notice, I noticed this trend, and it is so interesting that when you spend time with people, even with your friends, how much do they talk? And how much are they willing to listen? And the two should be at least on the same scale. If they are not on the same scale, then you have just been used. Okay. So maybe that's something else you want to change as well. Number 3, build positive relationships and get rid of the negative relationships that hinder you in your progress of reaching your goals. We have often talked about it, so I'm not going to say too many words about that, but that's so clear that some people are just there to pull you back, and others are there to celebrate your progress, to achieve, to inspire you to achieve greater heights. Those are the friends, and those are the companies you want to keep, and you want to cut off everybody else. Maybe it's your family member who is hindering your progress. That's what you have to do. You know, some people, we love everybody, but some people we just love from a distance, because that's what they deserve. Okay, number 4, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. There's a lot of ways you can be kind to yourself. You can just appreciate yourself in general. That's a good start. Appreciate yourself. One of the things that one of my yoga teacher always says, when we finish the class, and we don't go into this mumbo jumbo and the yoga and all the things, so don't worry about that. But at the end, she always has this, because it's on Sunday mornings, quite early. And everybody likes to sleep in late on Sundays, and then you hurry up to get to church and things like that, but you want to sleep in late. So she always makes this statement, and I began to appreciate it. She said, inside, thank yourself, like, you know, thank yourself that you made it to this class, that you sacrificed your morning, especially Sunday, when everybody else sleeps in. Thank yourself, you know. And I think that's a good thought, that you took the time to do something for your body that is good for your body, to move things, to stretch yourself, to use your muscles. You know, thank yourself that you took the time and you came out here. Number 5, it's one of the most important ones, in my opinion. Start saying no. This is the shortest word, N-O. In most languages, it's a very short word. In my language, it is a three-letter word. In every language, this is like the first word the child learns. No.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it's the bad thing. I'm not sure, because you can always tell the differences between the children. Some of them are easier to say no. Some of them don't really say no very easily. They kind of shy about it, or they've been too nice or too agreeable or too people pleasing, or, you know. But like my youngest niece, she has no problem. She's like me. She has no problem saying no. And I'm never worried about people like that. I'm never worried, because as long as you understand that what you want versus what you don't want, it's a good start. It's a good start. You will be able to say no to things that are stupid. You will not be dragged into things you should not be dragged into. You will not get dragged into relationships you're not supposed to be in, relationships, because you learned to say no. So I'm never worried about people who say no. It's that person who knows how to say no. That person's a strong person, because everything today, especially this day and age, pushes you towards, oh, just be accepting, just don't step on any toes. The most important is that you would be accepting. The most important thing is that you wouldn't hurt other people's feelings. But you know what? I don't care about your feelings. If I want to say no, I will say no. And if you don't understand the words no, then you have a problem. You have a problem, not I. You have a problem. So, you know, some men don't understand the word no. So, and there's a lot of that's a vast subject to touch on again. But if somebody doesn't want to meet you and get to know you, you just have to accept that. Okay, you have to accept that. So one of the first, and probably the sentence that I can use about men here in this country, in my country, Hungary, which part of no do you not understand?
It's every
Your
country.
word, I said it more than once. So
Yep.
if I block you from Facebook, don't write to me on Insta. If I block you on Insta, don't write to me on something else, because it's not an accident. If I blocked you, I had a reason for it. If someone blocks you, that means that the person doesn't want you in your life. And there's a reason for it. Maybe you need to look inwardly. Maybe you have some issues that the person doesn't want to deal with. So I'm going to just throw it out there. And I don't mind being controversial. I think you already know that about me. If it's controversial, it will make you think. And the next one, actually, it ties into right that thing. Set proper and clear boundaries.
Yeah.
You want to set clear boundaries. That begins with your time. That begins who you listen to. That begins who you allow in your life in any way, shape, or form. Yesterday, I just had to block someone because she commented on something that I wrote to someone else. And that from her response, it was very clear that she didn't understand the conversation I was having with another friend of mine. So why would you even comment on something you don't understand? It's like, what? And I was like, okay, I can either start explaining myself to this person I didn't even want to talk to, or I can just block her. So I opted for blocking her because it was just so nonsense. I mean, she accused me of something that's like, what? And that whole conversation was meant in jest. And if you don't understand jokes, then you have a problem. So anyway, set proper boundaries. Number 7, when you begin to respect yourself, others will start respecting you as well. And that is so true. So true. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I want to give you another list. 7 examples of self-respect. Sometimes it helps to have a clear picture of what self-respect looks like. We already listed what it doesn't look like. So we want to list what it looks like. So it's not so general. Here are some examples of self-respect. Refusing to be spoken to in an offensive manner because you know you deserve to be treated well. So don't allow people to speak to you just anyhow. That's one of the things. Okay, number 2, cutting ties with friends who are lazy and untrustworthy because you know you are worth of having a dependable friend. So people who don't keep their words, they kind of breaking their words all the time. They don't keep their promises. Just let them go. They don't have to be around you. You deserve more. Again, we already touched on don't settle. This is settling. You settle to whoever is around just because you don't want to be alone, but it's a personal relationship or a friendship. Nope. You don't have to. Setting strong boundaries around people who are energy vampires because you want to preserve your energy and not having it stolen. Energy can be stolen. Some people just want to suck you and they give nothing back. Not a good thing.
Right.
Again, we're not talking about times when you minister to others because that's a completely different dimension. And that's just,
Yes.
we're just talking in general, but of course you understand that. Okay, saying no to the unreasonable requests given by your child or family member or anybody else because you respect your limits. See, when you start respecting your limits in terms of time, in terms of whatever you feel like doing at the moment, and not rushing at someone else's behest or someone else's beck and call, that's your right. You know, you don't have to.
Mhm.
Number, I don't even know how many. You have
I don't
all
know
these-
too.
So number 5 could be okay. I just have these bullet points here. So having clear rules in your relationships, such as no lying, because you deserve to have an honest partner, whether it's a friend or a partner or even business partner. Lying is off limits. Person who lies to you in whatever setting, that person doesn't respect you. That's for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6, maybe. Refusing to settle for less in business deals because you know the worth of your work. Some people really undervalue themselves and they say, you know what, it's fine. You know, if it's too much for you, I can do it for less. No, put a price or tag on your skills. Then people will begin to appreciate it. Sometimes what happens if you give away free samples, number 1, no one wants to buy the product because you already gave away the free samples. Number 2, they don't think it's worth much if you keep giving away. So you want to put a price tag on it, and then people will, those who really want to appreciate it and those who really want to get the product or service, they will pay the money for it, the money that it's worth. Number 7, maybe. Not compromising your deepest values in favor of social acceptance. That is a biggie. That's a big one. Don't compromise your values. First of all, you want to define what are the non-negotiable values. What are the values you will not forego under any circumstances? Obviously, your God. Just because somebody doesn't like it, if you believe in God, that person. Okay, so we went down again. Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It never happened before. Okay, so let's see. So you want to define your core values. You want to define your non-negotiable values. Obviously, your God would be first.
Mhm.
Okay. Reliability. Things that you don't go under. Reliability. You demand reliability from everybody. You demand honesty, compassion, acceptance, discipline. All these core values that you value in yourself and you value in others. So if someone is unreliable, you don't keep the person around very long. If someone proves to be dishonest, you don't want to keep that person around very long. These are just some of the lists. You can obviously come up with your own list, but these are some of mine, definitely. Compassion is another one, of course. Acceptance. Yeah, I mean, this acceptance is a vast subject again. Discipline. I cannot stand people who are not disciplined, to be perfectly honest. I don't understand them. I don't want to understand them. And I certainly don't want to conform to their lifestyle. It's not always convenient to go to the gym and to work out, but I refuse to go under that level. That's just some of the things I do. I also, a lot of things that I have to do with my work, with my profession, these things are absolutely something I would come. So just because you want to meet me, and right now, I mean, I just have to go and just leave your work behind. It's okay. It's not going to happen. If you don't respect my profession, you don't respect my work, you don't respect me.
Yeah. Right.
I have a gym friend. She's not a real friend, but she's a gym friend. And she keeps calling, but I don't know why. We don't have much in common, but hey, happens. But the point is that she is so undisciplined, in my opinion, from what I can perceive, that I don't know how to relate to her, because, you know, sometimes she would come to the gym and sometimes she wouldn't come for 2 weeks. And then she would come for like, I don't know, like 2, 3, 4 classes, like overdoing it. And then she would get injury and then she would not show up for another 2 months. So it's like, this is not how to respect your body. This is not how to do any kind of exercise. That's just lack of discipline. And I just, and every time she would come to the class, she would always come to the classes I am at. And so like 90% of the times I would see her in the gym because she would attend to the same classes. But I see the intensity she works at, and it's just, you can't achieve any kind of progress. You cannot lose weight. You cannot tone your muscles with the intensity she works at. And she's been there forever, longer than I have, in fact. But by looking at her, you can never tell. And she also eats a lot of things that's not eating. So that shows me lack of discipline. So I don't know what she thinks that she and I have, because we are of the same age. That doesn't put us into the same category. So that doesn't mean that I know how to put this in a nice way. We don't have much in common just because we are in the same age group, is what I'm trying to say. So some of the people you just don't want to keep in company with, because every time this person is in the same class as I am, she would always tell me that she so doesn't want to be here. She feels so tired. She has no energy. And, this hurts, that hurts. It's like, I'm tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing that. Of course, I don't want to say that, what, obviously anybody can tell you. You don't have to be a coach or a physician to tell you that, what, you can't overwork your body and expect a great result in a short amount of time, and then not show up for 2 months and expect it's going to work. Of course, you're going to hurt yourself because you have not done anything. Just she would just eat, and, and then she would come to the gym to the hardest classes because I'm there. Well, I've been there all the time that you haven't been, and I work every day. So that's why I can take those classes with those weights that you think you can. But it's like, this is what the Bible says. You cannot put your hand to the plow and then leave and then expect to come back in the same position. If an Olympian leaves the Olympic sport that he was raised in for years, and then he leaves for 2 months, he will not be on the same class with his peers because he stopped it for 2 months. You understand? So you will probably have to go back to almost beginner class initially and work your way up. But the key is never to stop, right? So anyway, all I'm saying is that, for instance, this person is not disciplined at all. I don't even know why she goes to the gym, to be honest, because it doesn't show on her figure. She keeps telling me she doesn't like going to the gym. So it's like, why do you even torture yourself? You're not serious. I'm serious. I don't go there because I like going there. I don't hate it. But I mean, if that was a quicker and easier way to be skinny and keep your energy, I wouldn't go to it because I would do something else instead, right? But so I go to the gym to achieve something. See, we're talking about goals. I go to the gym to fulfill my goals, right? She goes there because she's used to going there. Well, see for yourself. I know it doesn't work. It's obvious that's not working for you, and you are even unhappy doing it. So then why would you do it? So anyway, all I'm saying is that not everybody has to be your bosom friend, okay? So let's see. I have some more notes, believe it or not.
I've
I
got
believe
Okay. Okay. So we talked about self-respect. Now we're gonna go into respect. So let's just say you're already respecting yourself tremendously, and I congratulate you on that. So now, how do we expect respect for others? First of all, I think it can be, again, list can vary because your list may be different than mine. But first of all, because people are judging by looks, first of all, you want to respect people by how you dress. Even if you are in a Zoom setting, you don't attend in a Zoom setting, even if it's with a friend, in my opinion anyway, in your gym clothes, for instance. Gym clothes meaning like dressed down. It's not about the gym. It's about you being dressed down. If you're a female, you probably want to put some makeup on because it looks better on camera. And that's just one of the ways I respect you guys, to put on makeup because it would be easier for me not to, because I mean everybody knows that it's hard to scrub it off, it takes time to put it on, but then again, you want to respect yourself and you want to respect others, even the way you look. Again, nothing wrong with gym clothes, but this is just some of the things. I wouldn't hold this meeting or even attend to any meetings. We have a lot of conferences online, you guys know that. We don't attend in our kitchen clothes. I was cleaning today. I'm not wearing the same clothes that I was cleaning in. It's just to show you the before and after. I hope I made it. Again, nothing wrong with your clothes, but you know, you want to. So one of the ways you express respect for others is you dress up. You dress up to the occasion. You dress up for the other person, but mostly you do it because you respect yourself. I always make this comparison that of course it's an extreme example, but for instance, if you were invited to I don't know, to see Charles III, or let's just say the Queen of England, because it's just easier for me to say. So the Queen of England, let's just say.
Okay.
So you visit the Queen of England in Buckingham Palace. You will not wear your kitchen clothes. Even though the kitchen clothes is nice, you will not wear a sexy clothes. You will not wear a ripped jeans because it's trend. You will be thrown out. You will not even go to the bottom of the stairs of Buckingham Palace. You will not be allowed to go there. And I like that some places even said, even in beaches, even in beach settings, some places actually say with a huge sign, it says no beach clothes or no flip-flops, or you know, there are certain code of ethics, there are certain dress code that you have to honor the place you enter. Restaurants tend to put that dress code sign up, and I like that. If you think it is not inclusive enough, then the problem is you, because it's all about respect. Nobody wants to see you half naked. Nobody wants to see you in an undressed state. And so don't subject others to that, okay? So you want to respect yourself. And really, the way you dress tells a lot about yourself, more than you know.
Yes.
So I may not be the Queen of England, but I don't even aspire to be perfectly honest, but I do respect you guys the way I dress, the way I put my makeup on, the way I do my hair and things like that. I would actually, I was going to say I wouldn't go in the same way to the gym like this, but yeah, actually I would, because also in the gym I use makeup. That's just me. You don't have to do that, but that's just me. But that's another matter, because I always tell people that the reason I use makeup in the gym, because when I look into the mirror, and we have lots of mirror, that I always work with mirrors, because mirror is good for you because you can control yourself, you can correct your moves, and mirrors are very, very important for those who understand different sports. So I always tell people, I don't put on the makeup for the gym, and that's a bit of a different setting and different story for me. But I don't do it for others. I do it because when I look into the mirror, and I always have to look in front of me, this is what I want to see. I don't want to see a pale face or this is about, so I do it for me, in other words. But then again, that's because I respect myself. So I think I'm on the right thing. That's why.
Yeah, right.
So one of the ways with your attire, you respect others, you express respect for others. When you meet someone for the first time, whether it's a business meeting, especially if it's a business meeting, you look at how people dress. Do they wear like a jacket? Even if it's a sport jacket, even if it's just a semi-casual meeting, your first impression is extremely, extremely important. If you are dressed down, you don't have a tie on, or your tie is crooked, you didn't brush your teeth, you didn't comb your hair, you smell because you were running or whatever, I'm not going to give you my business, because I know if you cannot take care of yourself, you will not be able to take care of my business. So right there and then you're out. So that's number one. And of course, we can teach on this for weeks, and we do teach on this for weeks, actually, how to present yourself in terms of value. Second, very important, you might look perfect, but then if you have not the perfect manners, you get a problem. So you also want to make sure that your mannerism is also respectful. First of all, you want to listen the other person without interruption. And that's a very big deal as well. Because these days, people don't listen to other people. And they keep interrupting. I'm guilty of that, I must say, but not in my and I'm working on it. So I'm working on it. I realized it, and I'm working on it. And if you would know how many times I want to interrupt and I didn't, you would give me more credit. But anyway, I'm working on it. But that's because I grew up in a big family, 6 kids. And we, like a big Italian family, we all talk at the same time, but we are able to follow it. It's amazing how it trains your brain, because you are able to talk about physics with this person, science with the other person, art with the other person, and all at the same time, all this conversation going on, and you are able to join in and, pepper other people with questions or with comments, constructive comments. So this is what I'm used to. And it's not in that setting. We still do that, actually. And in that setting in my family, it was never a sign of respect. It was disrespect. It was a sign of wanting to participate and being interested in what the person says. Because if you are tied down with just the person next to you, you don't get to the other person, all the other people who equally have something interesting to say or to talk about. So it's just, for us, it's participation, but I do realize it's not something that's understood by everyone. So I'm trying to adjust myself by listening and actively listening, not just being quiet, but actively listening. So that's the thing. Active listening is a very big deal. Number 3, and this is in every kind of setting, whether you are sitting with one person or with a whole group of person, whether it's a personal meeting or a business meeting, it applies. These are general rules of conduct, applies for every setting. Number 3, and we have to talk about this because it is very annoying. If someone is having a meeting with you and constantly picks up their telephone or looks at their telephone, I'm leaving. I walk. I'm not going to stay there and just, being an accessory to your telephone, So not that it happens very often at all, actually, in my circles. But then again, because I pick my friends, I don't go out with people who are meet people who are always in their telephones. If you are always in your telephones, then you are, something's wrong with you. You are not living in the real world. You are living your world through your telephone. And and also, one of the things you can do, you can either turn off your telephone completely, or you can put it on silence mode. So that's one of the things that I would definitely suggest for you to do, because that's also an extreme sign of disrespect, in my opinion, for me, definitely, personally, to have someone pick up their telephone or constantly looking at their phone. I know it's addiction. I know it's a form of addiction. So now that you know it as well, you can do something about it. Discipline yourself. If it's too tempting for you to look at your telephone, if the telephone is on, then turn off your telephone. Believe me, number 1, you don't know whether it's the last time you ever met that person. Okay, and you spent your time looking at your stupid telephone that you could have looked at any other time. You had that time with your friend. You don't know who's going to die or just move away, or you never see them again. Okay, so give that time for yourself and for that friend or for those people. Okay, just because you will be so mad at yourself and you will feel so sorry. And you will so much regret that opportunity that you would have had with that person, but the person is gone or just gone out of your life, and you guys don't interact anymore because you were busy looking at your stupid telephone. So phone is off limits, in my opinion, in my life, definitely. If I pay attention, I pay attention to you. I don't look at my telephone. And I must say that if I look at people, if I find that people keep looking at their telephone while they're talking to me, or they are in a surrounding, that shows me that the person is undisciplined. And we already touched on that. Undisciplined. I mean, it's like eye candy, You don't need chewing gum for the eyes. It's like you're watching always something. You have to be entertained. But if you're bored, get up and leave. I can find other companion, trust me, not a problem. But I'm not going to be staying around and be a bio, just a thing there. Okay, so we're still talking about how ways to express your respect for people. Number, I don't know, 4 or 5 or whatever, keep your word. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Keep your word, keep your promises. Your word is your bond. If I give you my word, you can take it to the bank. I rarely promise something, but if I promise something for you, I will keep it, whether it's small or big. Whether it's I'm going to call you, I will definitely call you. Unless I forget, but I rarely forget these things because I write them down. Or if I say I'm going to answer that question, I'm going to ask the question. You can remind me of it and things. But I don't really need a reminder, because if I know I gave my word, I definitely follow up on it. So if you give your word, whether it's big or small, you follow up on it. And trust me, when nothing loses respect for you more when people see that you don't keep your word. If you don't keep your word, that's how much you're worth. That's how much you're worth. And along the same line, I want to touch on that one. Don't talk big. Don't talk big in that sense that nobody respects talkers. People love to talk. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No. Rather under promise and over deliver. Don't over promise, because it's hard to keep up with your big words. People respect doers. They don't respect talkers. Talk is cheap. Anybody can talk. Okay? So don't use big words. Don't talk big. Rather, keep to what you promised, and it will soon gain respect for you. All the more because these days people don't keep their words. Oh, I'm going to call you next week. Fine. I knew the person is not going to call me. I never asked for the person to come. But why would she promise if she doesn't come? It's like, you really thought that I'm going to wait for your phone call? Really? Whatever. So it's like, so the Bible says that if you are small, if you are faithful, diligent, all the small things, you will be diligent on the big things. If someone can't even keep their word, as far as I'm going to call you, and they don't call you, they're not going to keep any of the big words either that they promise. No, I mean, no promise is too small, in my opinion, and no promise is too big for you to keep it. If you said you keep it, keep it. God is one with his word. If he says something, he will do it. You can take it to the bank, and you should be the same because you come from your Father. So that's everything I say. Is these things are just these are in terms of being a Christian. This should be our baseline. I shouldn't even have to talk about this, because this should be this would be obvious about us. Christians are the ones who are trustworthy. Christians are the ones who don't tell lies. Christians are the ones who conduct themselves properly. Christians are the ones who keep their promises. Well, I wish it was so. But it seems like many Christians kind of follow the trend of the world, where we are to be trend setters, not trend followers. The world trend is never our way. Okay? In other words, just because others do it, you don't want to do it. In fact, you want to do the opposite. So when people realize that you are trustworthy, you will stand out so much, and they will start respecting you. But as I said, one of the quickest ways to lose people's respect is to break your promise and keep breaking your promises. Sometimes one promise break is all that takes for people to start disrespecting you. And in other words, they may still like you because you're nice and pleasant to them, but they will never trust your word again. So what kind of big things are you going to accomplish in the world if you can't even keep your small word? Other things you can do: achieve your goals. This will gain you respect. You don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Rather, underpromise and overdeliver. And this will surprise people. It will even surprise your enemies. Maybe people don't like what you stand for, your faith, your political statement, whatever. But they will bring their business to you because they know that they can trust you, because your word is gold, because you promise something and you keep it, as opposed to others who don't. The other thing is, I don't know how many, 7, 8, whatever, you tell the truth. You don't lie. This also gains respect because most people lie. They use white lies, black lies, green lies, every kind of lies. There is no such thing as white lie. Lie. Now, when I say be honest and be truthful and be honest, this doesn't mean that you tell everything to everyone. Far from it. No. Being truthful means that in whatever you say, you want to be honest in. Okay? It doesn't mean that you have to tell your business to everyone. It just means that whatever you say, you are truthful in it. You're telling the truth. And that will also cause you to shine and stand out because that's just so rare. People will appreciate when they see that you respect them enough to tell the truth. To not lie. Okay. Last 3 sections. Okay. Dress as someone who respects himself or herself. Dress classy always, no matter what is the occasion. Dress classy. Classy means you don't want to show a lot of skin for the ladies out there. Remember that you set the standard around you. The other thing is, I don't know how many of these now, maybe 10. Use the right language.
Yeah.
That means you want to increase your vocabulary. You don't curse, you don't cuss, you don't use offensive language. It is not cool. It is vulgar. Vulgarity is no substitute for wit. It's not funny at all. It just shows that you are primitive. You are stupid. You're an idiot. Use words that are describing whatever you're feeling without using vulgarity. Okay. And I want to use these strong words because I want you to take it seriously. Not you guys, because you guys are wonderful, but people out there. I mean, you don't know who's listening and who's going to listen later on. So I don't mind being straightforward because then you will feel the weight of it. Maybe for you, cussing and cursing and using, foul language is like drinking water. You don't even think of it, it just flies out of your mouth. Maybe that's where that's what you are used to. Well, guess what? Not everyone's used to this. And even though you are used to it, it is still not right. Maybe you're used to lying. Lying is still not right. So just because for you, it is normal. It's not normal in the standard you're trying to achieve. And you don't even have to be Christian for that. Just be a decent person. A decent person doesn't use foul language. Doesn't curses, cusses, because it just shows that you are primitive. Primitive people no woman's around, so it's not cool at all. If you need to increase your vocabulary, read. Reading increases your vocabulary. Okay. So don't be a simpleton. You don't want to be a simpleton. You don't want to be vulgar. You don't want to be common. You don't want to be coarse. You want to use language that elevates you and others. Some people use vulgarity because they just run out of words. They have enough vocabulary, so they just use words, bad language. It's a lack of vocabulary. Increase your vocabulary. You can do this daily. Learn 1 or 2 words, new words daily. You can do that. If English is not your first language, then you do it in your first language, or you do it in English as well. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to be bigger, better, faster, more than you were yesterday? That's another thing that you want to do for yourself. If you respect yourself, you will use a language that fits you. Language matters. Words matter. You see how today's world, they try to twist the language. They try to come up with made up, stupid, fake words. That is just not real. It's not real because they know. Oh, and they try to forbid you to use certain words. And they're not even bad words. They just declare them bad words. So now everybody is a racist, everybody's a Nazi, everybody is this, everybody's that. These are just shows how stupid you are, because you don't understand what racist means, you don't understand what Nazi means, because you don't know the history behind it. So don't just throw words at people because you're angry. Try to express your anger eloquently. Okay?
Mhm.
If you lack the vocabulary, lack the language, then read up on it. Okay? Books will help you. Books are your friend. So words matter. You want to change your status, change your language first. You can always tell how sophisticated a person is, not by the way they dress, because maybe they do have the money, but they lack the sophistication, and their words give them away immediately. Immediately. The intonation, the words they use. You can't talk about this too much enough, especially with
Mhm.
okay, you may not have the finances, because we talked about the dressing properly. You may not have the finances right now to change your whole wardrobe, but you can start by changing your language. When you respect yourself, you will use the proper language. And
Yeah.
when you respect others, you change your language to elevate the people, to make people feel good. Not to disparage them, not to push them down, not to name calling is not a language. It just shows that you are stupid. Use language that is elevating, uplifting. Okay, and I think that's all I have to say about that. So one more section, because I find it I scroll down. Not gonna get out so easily. Okay, so on self, because this whole thing started by me looking at pictures, and I'm going to post this particular picture. I have it on my Facebook, but I'm going to post it in the club as well, so you can just understand where I come from. So I was contemplating on self-respect and how important that is. Everybody wants to demand respect. Well, demanding respect doesn't work. You cannot demand respect. You earn respect. And if you look like I don't want to use a very bad word, but a prostitute, nobody will respect you. Maybe you're not a prostitute, but if you dress like it, you act like it, you come across like it, you use the same language, how would people know the difference? So it begins with self-respect. Okay, so being naked on the internet is not some form of spiritual fulfillment and female empowerment. What part of taking your clothes off in front of total strangers and posting it online feels like empowerment to you? It is not sexy. It is desperate. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. Bring back the old classy look. And with that, I'm going to open the panel. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
I feel
Yeah.
alive.
Excellent.
Yes.
I hope I didn't offend anybody, but if I did, that's fine too.
Wow.
Maybe you
Wow.
didn't be offended, maybe you are dressing like a whatever. But again, if you want to be taken seriously, you want to dress right, you want to dress the part, you want to use the right language, and you want to keep your word. I mean, how basic is these things? Very, very basic.
Yeah.
Por favor.
Thank you so much. This is really royal stuff.
Bye, Celia.
Bye, Celia. We love you, and we keep you in our prayers.
Yeah, we keep you in prayer. It's really very good what you share with
Thank you.
us this evening, because it's always good to improve yourself better and better in this things, because it's not only your clothing, it's not only what you speak, it's also what you write.
Very, yeah.
And also in the internet, sometimes you see some stuff coming. Most things I don't react, but sometimes I make a little point, but I do it with a very kindly way to say something, you know.
Yeah. I'm glad you raised that up because yes, we don't meet everybody face to face, but nowadays we can communicate with people in writing. And yes, also in writing equally, you don't want to use, the languages that you're not supposed to use. But I also like that you say that you take a stand, and I think it's very important. You don't let people just slide by. You take a stand. There's a lot you can learn about people, about countries, about different cultures, and about the temperature, quote unquote, temperature of the people, where they are at on a certain issue by reading the comments. And I learned so much. I learned so much from people because people are just wonderful. Some of them are not, but whatever. We always learn. But I'm glad that you mentioned that you take a stand. I usually take a stand too. Not always have the time, or but it's important to put the people to their place sometimes when you feel that this is what you have to. Obviously, you can't do it all the time because you don't have the time and whatever. But when you feel led, I mean, you don't know the impact those words have. They are seeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I have learned, especially around you and Apostle Charles, is watch. See how people around behave, react, do. So that's the first thing,
Yeah. One of the ways that you can learn is observation. And when you are observant, you are also, that's also a form of respect, in my opinion. It's a form of respect because you are observing in order to emulate, in order to imitate. And some of the things that are unwritten, like code of ethic, code of how to conduct yourself, especially around the great man or woman of God, these things are not taught in Europe at all. I mean, we don't even have in Hungarian, we don't even have the expression man of God.
No.
Or woman of God, let alone woman of God. My goodness, nobody can be a woman. Nobody can be a woman and preacher and priest at the same time. Nope.
No.
So we don't even have that vocabulary. So
We
imagine.
we don't have that in Holland either.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So it's not just my language. So, but see, if you don't, if sometimes what you cannot verbalize, you don't have the culture around it. So you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
Yes, I remember one moment in our former church, a man told me about our king and queen. And then he told not some nice things about our king and queen. And then I asked him a question because we were in private, so I can ask him something. And I say, do you really think that our king have to present himself in jeans or in cheap stuff? He's king, so he have to present our nation. So it could be cheap. And then he was wondering, and a friend of him was next to him, and it was in a private setting, so I can say that. And the other friend told me later, I have learned something, because I was never so king's-minded and queen's-minded, but you have learned me something. I have to dress me for the occasions. So that was something. I said, this is not a play, this is a duty, this is
it is a
duty. This is protocol. And I know you hate protocol because you are Dutch, and then we have to do everything normal. But what's normal, So some people haven't a clue, and it's even in church, even when the man of God came, they have the idea, or a woman of God came, or you come, that you can do if you are friends. But that's not the first thing you have to do. You have to say who you are, and then the man of God say who we are, and then you listen. That's the first impression. And we have a program on the Netherlands how do you behave? That's about
I like
royalty.
that.
About,
I wish
yes,
we had
and,
some.
and,
They
and
used
then,
to have something like this, but not anymore. You see, they're purposely pushing all these things out, but I'm glad you still
yes,
have that. Good.
and then she said something very things I never forget. She said, if people came to me and the guests say, but you haven't to say who you are because you are famous. So, He said, always shake hands and say who you are. And
Yeah.
say your name
Yeah.
and say who you are.
Need to
Because
choose that.
it's not polite to think everybody knows me, you know? So be aware. It was
I
I never forget this, you
I
know?
remember. I remember this was a so-called famous preacher in Holland,
Yes, I know what you will
and
say.
and I met him and I said, "Well, happy to meet you. I'm Frida de Vreugd," and then he said nothing, and I said to him, "And you are?" Because I did not remember that he was so famous, you know. And he said, "Oh, sorry. I thought everybody knew me, so I don't."
Oh, some ego there. Okay.
He's very, very famous here.
But so whatever, I mean, whatever.
But
Yeah,
whatever.
because
It is only polite. It is only polite. It's not about,
I was not like, and you are putting him on the spot, but
You did it very gentle, Frida.
I sincerely did not remember at that
yeah, of
moment who he
course. I
was.
understand. I understand completely. It's
Yes,
just,
but he was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not used to present myself." Yeah.
I don't, it's such a funny situation because I don't watch television at all. And I like making movies and making,
Yeah.
but I don't like watching it. I would watch it to see, the things that I do, to see how to do it better,
Yeah.
but not as entertainment and not as a background noise. Never, ever. Oh, God deliver me of television, I must say. It's a wonderful thing. But therefore, but I used to, before I moved to the States and before I started working with Apostle, I used to be addicted to television because I was in the whole business, media, all that.
Yeah.
And I used to be a television commercial producer. So I was watching television, or it would just be in the background all the time. But then I went the opposite direction, that I just no television whatsoever. And of course, my life is happier now without television. But point is that now a whole new generation of celebrities and famous, quote unquote, famous people grew up that I really don't know. So when I meet them on the set, I honestly don't know who they are. So I talk with them like you would talk to a normal person, and they would talk to me the same, but then they realize I have no idea who they are. So I understand your position. You don't know who they are, and they expect you to know who they are. And like, honestly, even if you tell me the name or you show me the face, I wouldn't know they are, because how would I know them? You would only know them from television or from stupid magazines. I don't have any of these influences in my life. Thank God. So I really don't know who they are. I'm probably the only one in the country who doesn't know who they are, and I really don't care. Even if I'm in this and this series. I don't know those series. I don't even know those series exist. So this is the first time I'm hearing now that you have all these series, and then apparently you're a big star in that. Okay, but congratulations. I still don't know who you are. And then they finally believe that I really don't know who they are. And go, wow, really? So it's just a funny situation.
Yeah, I remember in the first years that we go to Germany, when Apostle Charles visits Germany, we go there too. And also we take some friends with us. And then back, the woman told me, well, but we can learn him something. Say, excuse me?
We can teach him. Can we teach him something?
Excuse me? My mouth is open when I hear the man of God speaking. So I think I doesn't have to learn him anything, because first I have to learn from him, because his results are better than mine. So what's the point? Let's please him teach me, you know.
That's
And
so arrogant, isn't it?
it
It's
is.
it's arrogance.
It
Why would
is,
you?
and yes, that's typical in our nation,
Who is
that
it?
we think
Yeah.
also that we can learn something else, some people
That
better,
we can
but
always
it's not,
teach
that's
somebody
not
else.
the way. That's not the way, you know. And I told that lady, well, I will learn from him, and if he asks me something, then it's time. Maybe it's time to say something, but then
Yeah.
I will keep it short. Because
That's a very good point. Because remember, Apostle, how he teaches us, don't speak in presence of greatness unless you're asked.
That is
right,
true. That's
And
true.
right.
and rather, just what you say, rather listen and talk less.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
first of all,
yes, yes. He
listen.
told it about the T.L. Osborne, that he came
Yeah.
back from Denmark, and that
Yeah.
T.L. Osborne asked him to say something, and then Apostle Charles said, well, it was great, but I come here to listen to you. And
Yeah.
I never forget that sentence. So yeah, we have to,
See, this is what I have noticed. Truly great people are always humble. And truly great people always recognize those who are
Yeah.
great.
mhm,
And their approach is always that they want to learn something, as opposed to, oh, I want to talk about what I have done. If you are still at the point that you feel like you have to talk about what you have done, then you are not in a good place,
Mhm.
because
No.
you are not open to learn. You want
No.
to push yourself on others.
Yeah.
You want to promote yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're missing your opportunity to learn from the greatness, isn't it?
right.
Yeah, that is so important.
So, and you talked about to say no, that's a real thing to do
Yeah.
in these
Yeah.
days. I have learned to do that, and it's not easy. Sometimes, special in family or in relationship, sometimes you have to say no because you have other things to do, or you are, in my case, I was tired, so I say no, I can't. And no, not every time people say thank you to you if you say no, but it's important to take care for yourself, because
Yeah.
yeah, so and that's also, I have to reread my notes. I have to write very fast, so I have to
I will
read.
post all my notes. I will dump all my notes, but they are not in order. So you just, it's fine.
But it's so necessary to sometimes to say no, not now, or it's not. It's, and even I have learned not to explain everything. Sometimes
Yeah.
I say no, and not why or what else, you know. Sometimes it's no, and that
Can I-
must be enough.
Can I add something to that, or do you want to speak to this new
That's okay for
gentleman?
you.
Hi, Gabriela. How are you doing? Oh, Gaius is here. Wonderful. Glad you joined us. Go ahead, Frida.
Okay, in the Netherlands, in religious circles, it's very uncommon to not to say no, or to not take care of others when you are tired yourself. I mean, you have to give to others and bear other's burdens. And I had a conversation with someone who said, I can accept that you cannot do it, but if you would say to me, I don't want to do it, then it would really hurt me. And that is the dangerous thing in Christianity here, that you cannot say I don't want to do it, because
Well,
you
maybe
always
you can find a different way to phrase it, but
yeah
bottom line, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. or like, I don't feel that I should do it, or I don't know how I would, I mean, however comes at that moment to me, I will say, no, I don't think I want to do it. And that's it. But then again, I don't have children, so maybe that's a different story. Maybe that's a different kind of dimension. You have to find a way with the family members, because the family members can be the hardest, I think, because they expect the most from you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, today I was supposed to go to a meeting, 2 meetings actually, that my sister knew about, but in the last minute she asked me to pick up the kids, and I could have said no. But she was really in a tight position. She said, you know, I could just leave early from work, she said, and I could collect them, but it would be better if you could. And I said, okay, fine. Okay, I can cancel the first meeting and then still go to the second one. But then in the meantime, she changed that as well, because she said, well, I'm not going to be able to pick them up from your place at that time. So, okay, I said, fine. I have to cancel both of my meetings. So I did cancel both of my meetings, but I could have said no. But at that time, I felt okay to say yes. But usually she understands and she knows that not to ask me in the last minute, because literally it was like 2 hours before my meetings that I had to cancel. And I also don't like to cancel on others because it's impolite, but you know, emergency stuff can happen. But so again, it's a situation with a family member. I could have said no, but I felt to say yes at the time. So I think that can work both ways.
Right.
However you feel at the moment.
But this pious thinking of you have to serve others all the time, that is, I found out that this was, I had to learn that it is different, because I did it all the time and I served others, and it left me tired and exhausted.
So because I don't quite understand the logic. So since everybody in your country seem to feel that everybody has to serve others all the time, so when will they serve?
Yeah, in the Christian environment, you have to give up yourself and be kind to others and do things.
I understand that part. But if everybody feels that, everybody thinks that they have to serve others within the Christian circles, when are they going to serve you?
Yeah, that's right. That is the point.
Really? Yeah. Because if everybody's serving others, sometimes it has to be your turn to be served. But it seems like you are the one who has to serve all the time.
Amen.
So it doesn't really it doesn't compute to me logically.
That's not logical. Yeah, that's true.
So maybe this whole perception is very faulty. Maybe some people need to be served all the time, and others need to be. So that doesn't sound good.
So I had to learn a lot in this, and maybe still to give myself the
permission,
the rest and do something for myself. So
give yourself permission to say no.
Yes. Yeah.
Give yourself
permission to rest or to do something nice for yourself,
or just to say no for no reason. You don't need to, as you said, you don't have to explain. I think you said, Alexander, you don't have to explain. Yeah, you're right. You don't have to explain.
Right. I know that here, but I have to. I really have to learn things in that area.
You're too nice. Learn from me. I'm not too nice.
Yes, and even not comfortable to say no, you know? Yeah. It's not always comfortable to say no, because you will always, yes, I am a person that like to please people, but I have this learning way to say no, because I have to respect myself and
exactly.
Even what you say about work or children, but what is your identity? And one of the last lessons of Apostle Charles was that every seed brings his own how do we say it in English?
Fruit, yeah.
Fruit. And that this is a sentence I have think for days. Because he told us in the lesson, you have to look inside. What is my seed, and what's my fruit? So not everything you do is fruitful. It's what
Yeah.
is inside of you that you can bring out, you know. So and
After your own kind, you mean?
after you, yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the word. After
Yeah.
your own kind.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm still learning the last weeks, especially the last weeks, because you can be very busy with to take care of people, but there's also another part to play. That's your goals and your things to do
Yeah.
in
Very good.
life.
But it all boils down to self-respect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
So
Yeah.
important. No wonder respect is so attacked this day and age.
Yeah.
Respect of self first and foremost, because now you don't know who you are, which bathroom to even use.
Yeah.
And so you don't have absolutes, you don't have any standards. You know, if the words say, you know what, you're not verse, okay, then maybe I'm not verse. But you see, if you have your identity in Jesus, if you have your identity in God, you know, you come from God. That's your identity. You come from God. Yesterday, Apostle on Daily Boost was in fact teaching about that. And your identity is that you come from God.
Yeah.
You don't come from your parents. You don't come from, I don't know, medical family. So you have to be a physician necessarily. You come from God, who entrusted your own calling on you. And your obligation is to fulfill that calling, because that's when you are going to run your race. So
Yes.
really, your obligation is to Him, not to your parents, not
Amen.
to your,
Yeah.
not to
Yes.
your surroundings, not to your society. Your obligation is to the one who put you on earth, and that's God.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amen. That's so true. Thank
And
you.
yeah,
Welcome.
and what you say about job, that's always everybody can lose things around him or her. Sometimes in our case, people take things from you, and
Yeah.
then it's necessary how you behave, how you handle it, and everything has his spiritual origin. So you have to do it on a way that you can please God. That's the only
Yeah.
one I have to please, you know. So I can't. Sometimes I hear things. And I said, okay, but I have to please my master, not
Yeah.
people around me. And that's what I have many times. And when we have work to do and many people healed in some settings, and people take it from us, it's not the end of our story. We have to go. We have to find new ways to do it again, but on a higher level, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Gaius, do you have something to say? I don't know if your hand is up, or is that part of your design here? Doesn't it look like his hand is up? Okay, whatever. Okay, Frida.
Yeah. You have to. I have to learn to really stand and say, "This is me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember
that's-
My Fair Lady? She speak not well English.
Yes,
I
very much.
loved it. I loved that
Love that
musical.
movie.
I loved the music. I loved the setting, but
Everything.
she was very fair. She was not well educated in the
Yeah.
high classes, which come from a lower level, but then they will learn her.
And the first thing he changed about her was her language, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
right. Yes.
That's true.
Very good point.
And then there came hilarious things when she changed their very beautiful language.
Because
I was
inside
laughing my
she
head
was still
off,
not
you know.
changed. Yeah.
Yes,
That's a
really,
good point, because inside she was still not changed, and then of course she became more sophisticated.
yes.
But,
Well, it was
of course
it
he was terrible.
later.
So we don't want to set
Yes.
him as an example. He was a very terrible
No.
person,
No.
selfish, and self-centered. And I didn't like that she went back to him. I didn't like it at all. But the original idol, of course, is beautiful. That he I don't know if he saw. No, I don't know. I can say. I was going to say that he saw the queen in her. No, he didn't see the queen in
He
her.
didn't see it.
Even
No.
when she was dressed beautifully and talked perfectly and became sophisticated, he still saw her as a girl who was working on the street
Yeah.
selling flowers.
Yeah.
So
But,
Yeah.
that was
but,
the
when,
problem.
but when she came in the higher classes, there was one moment that people were rude about somebody, and then she say on very beautiful English, but then in her language, some rude things, and then the people around her were shocked, but she
Yes.
told them really the truth, but it was for them shocking. They never hear such speaking, so they were, huh?
It's true.
And then so it was also hilarious to hear that,
Yeah.
because she was a fair lady. She was honest. She was herself. She has her identity. So that's a very
Yeah.
nice movie. So yes, I love that sort of things too, when people lift up.
The teacher had a friend, Pinkerton, I think.
Yeah.
And he said that, Higgins and Pinkerton, and she makes a statement that you see, talking to Dr. Higgins, he said, you see me even when I'm dressed like a queen, you see in me the flower girl.
Right.
And he said, so does he said, well, so does Pinkerton. He goes, no, Pinkerton always saw me as a queen, even when I was a flower girl. That's the difference between the
Yes, I know that.
and she was very right. I just remember
Yeah.
that statement. That it was very, very true.
Yes,
Very true.
it was very nice to see that, and there's some deep things in it.
Yes, I agree. Beautiful.
And when you can lose something, but you can't lose your identity.
Yeah.
You can't
See, that's
lose.
what I meant.
You
have to
can't
set your
lose.
core, you have to set your core values. Like, I'm not going to compromise my God or my faith in God, my, I don't know, political, whatever, or whatever, whatever but obviously God is number one. And if you have
Mhm.
God as number one, everything else falls in line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
Right.
immediately prioritize everything else accordingly.
Yeah.
But when you
So-
don't have that basis, that baseline, then any wind can blow you to and fro, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's also a protocol when people do some unjust to you, how to handle it. I've learned it from you and Friede and the apostle of course, Apostle Charles. Then he said, give it to them. And don't talk, but have a smile and go your way. And that was a learning process for me, because it feels injustice, but it's not. You have to go your way and you have to forgive, but you have to go further with God,
Yeah.
and
It's true.
you have to
Very
be sharp and gentle, and you have to go on with the calling that God gives you. Yeah.
Absolutely. So would you like to teach next time?
Yes, I will.
Good. Okay. Since I know you
I will.
prepared something, we talked about a long time ago, then we had
Yes,
some
yes.
other.
Yes, I
Wonderful. Okay.
yes, I will teach some next
And
time.
hopefully you will also attend to the School of the Spirit, and we see
Yes.
you guys.
Yes, we
Yes,
will
yes.
be there. Yes, of course.
Yes,
I
we
will.
are there.
I can promise I will stay up tomorrow night, but
No,
because it's
for
7.
us the same. For us the same.
We have
Because-
also a birthday of one of our grandchildren, so we have to really manage our time. But
Of course, yeah. But the
anyways,
thing is, we can always watch it back later. That's
Yes.
a very, very big
Yeah.
lesson.
I'm really looking forward to it because I love the School of the Spirit so much. It's
Yes.
one of my
and
favorites.
God for the body. And God for the body.
Yes.
And 3 April we have a red carpet things about cinema. So that's
Yes,
also nice to do.
yes, our son
Monday.
has a premiere.
Wonderful. Make sure you post pictures. I want to see them.
Yeah.
Oh
we will.
yes, I have a blue suit. I let's make it on my size, so
Lovely. Okay,
it
wonderful.
will be wonderful. I get it for my son,
Good
and
for
then
you.
I make it on my side. So
Yes.
it's wonderful. You can't wear it. So, but for this sort of occasions, it's nice
I
to do
love
that.
these dress up parties sometimes. You know, I
Yes, I like that very well.
yeah.
Well, for our son Carsten, it is really a breakthrough now.
Yeah.
This is the first documentary he makes that is going to be known in the whole country and abroad. So
Wow.
And
so
What
also
is
the
what is the
government.
documentary or what?
it is a documentary. It's called Paved Paradise, and it's about the question whether you should do the biological agriculture or do the how do you call it well, do it with all the chemicals, and then use less soil, because the soil is they want to give the soil back to nature, but then you cannot have the biological agriculture because that takes a lot of soil. So you have to make a choice whether you do the whether you do the agriculture on a small acre and then put a lot of
Crop.
you call it intensive agriculture against biological. So he is working with his friend is how do you call it
Biologist.
yeah. So and he is very famous in that area. So they did another documentary already about it, but about similar things. But now it's really because this whole thing in Holland about the farmers and all that is very it's the now thing. So that's why he is having so much success now.
Wow. Well, congratulations, by the way, your party won.
Thank you.
The one that you supervise with your thing, you see? You make sure they win.
Yeah.
Well,
They say what walks in parents runs in children. So
yeah. I was so happy when I read it in some of these platforms that your
the
agriculture party won.
It is so important that we won, and that now even the cabinet is really thinking about what shall we do now, and there's really something going on in the Netherlands now.
Yeah, praise God.
Because the people don't accept it anymore.
Of course, good.
Yeah,
good.
It is. They won in every province.
So happy.
So, yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah.
You need to mention this in the next GMS meeting, because I want people to, number one, know what we are a part of. Number two, how big of a deal it is. And also people need to be encouraged that maybe not many things, maybe a lot of things are not going well in terms of certain governments and, all the lies they're doing, but change has started.
Yes.
So you need to speak up. You need to speak up and tell this good news, because you were a part of it. You are part of it because you are living in the country, but especially because you were participating in the voting thing, and in every province, people need to understand the vast of it, the how far-reaching that is.
And it's not only about the farmers. It is also about healthcare. It's
Wonderful.
also about what people they did a lot of things wrong for people who were really poor, and there's a thing going on the taxes that was so wrong. People were marked as because of their family name, there's also a big thing going on in the north of the country because of all the gas that has been taken under the ground, and there's earthquakes and people are not compensated
Wow.
because of it, and they earned a lot of money with that. So don't we get started?
Real shift is going on. I'm so happy.
Yes. Yes.
Very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Praise God. See, yeah.
So maybe I will be part of that political party.
Good for you. Good for you. Do it. Do it. Yeah, absolutely. If this is how you feel, definitely. We need good Christian people in political offices.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what
my PM is a born again believer now.
Yeah.
He's been PM all his life pretty much, except for 2 years, except for one term, which is 4 years. So yeah, not 12 years, but before, I think for one term he wasn't, and he was the youngest prime minister in the whole world at 35. I think it's too young in my opinion, but nevertheless, God makes exceptions. And at that time he was I don't think he was, in my opinion, I don't think he was arrogant. I always viewed him as someone strong, and strong people inspire me. I don't care where I see it. So I wasn't offended, but many people were, because he did come across as arrogant, and I can come across as arrogant to someone who doesn't know me as well. So I understand that dynamics.
I have that same thing.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that, whatever. So he was not like anybody else, definitely. Very young and seemed very cocky at times and arrogant. But during the time, he won, I think, first for 2 terms, right after the socialism collapsed. So that was a big deal, because they are Democrats. They used to be Democrats. Now they're not Democrats, of course, because that it was hijacked, to say the least. But the point is, during that time when he really thought that he's going to win and he lost, whether or not the other party cheated, it's debatable. It's possible that they were cheating. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But nevertheless, in that time when he lost, I think he suffered a nervous breakdown or something, and he had to go to not a mental institution, but where he went under therapy or whatever, and he's openly talking about it. So, but during that time when he was the lowest, he got saved, and then he came back stronger than ever before, and he's ever since then he's reigning.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, sometimes what happens, God takes you out of the whole situation to bring you back stronger, because you need that time out so that you can focus on what's important, what is not. And he's always been religious, so was his wife, but now he's a born again believer. He professes it, he goes to church regularly, and to cutting the long story short, he is taking a stand at the time and at the age when it's the most important. It has never been so important as these days, that he's taking a stand and he calls on to God and he says no, because the Bible says so, and he openly says it. And since there must not be religious persecution, of course, there is when it comes to Christianity, but outwardly they have to keep, like Brussels and the EU, all these devils, they have to keep up the charade. They have to keep like, oh, well, you know what, we respect you. So openly they cannot attack him because of his faith. You understand these political games?
Yes.
But of course they are attacking him. Because his
I understand
faith is where the direction, he's guiding the direction, the whole country, it sets the direction for the whole country. And that of course goes against Brussels, where they're heading. But the point is that God raised him up for such a time as this. Because, and same with Trump. He's a born again believer now. He wasn't first, but he's now.
Yeah.
And so all I'm saying is, I know, and so is Borzalino, I forgot the name, the Brazilian guy, the Brazilian PM. They cheated that election as well. He won, but they cheated the election. But he's also a born again believer. So what I'm saying is that I see more and more people are born again believers. God is placing into governmental positions. And that's a trend God is doing. That's a shift, because we need it the most at this time and age. So I can really easily see you guys being involved with the party, wherever God leads you, because you don't have to be a politician. Trump is not a politician. Never will be, never want to be.
Well,
people
this
faith. who
This
knows
lady-
what's right and what's
Yeah.
wrong. That's it.
Well, this lady is not a born again believer. She is a farmer woman, but she's very honest, and that is what I like, because she says the things just as they are, and that is very important, because they all what we call they all have flour in the mouth.
Yeah.
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 That's politicians for you.
But she doesn't do that, and that's what I like about this Caroline van der Plas. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we
That's-
need, not flowery
that is what
language,
we
but
need.
honest language based on the
Yes.
Bible. So that's
Yes.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We can conclude. I want to bless you for the whole week, and I will see you, of course, on the School of the Spirit, and that will be a wonderful session. Everybody can sign up on www.psom.org. Sign up for it. It starts tomorrow, in fact, and goes on
Yes.
for another 2 days or so. And of course,
Yeah.
all the information is posted. Thank you for joining us. This has been another edition of the Royal Club. We have discussed identity, dignity, destiny, enveloped in respect, which starts with self-respect. Love you guys. Thank you for joining us, and see you next
Thank you.
week.